Discover how a poor girl's unexpected blind date with a CEO dad changed her life forever. Mia Johnson stood outside the diner, her heart racing. It wasn't just another Friday night at work, it was a blind date set up by her best friend, Sarah. The idea terrified her. What if he thinks I'm just some nobody? The thought knotted in her stomach. Growing up in a small Midwestern town, she felt the weight of her family's struggles. Her mom, a war veteran, wore her PTSD like a heavy coat, the kind you couldn't put down. When Sarah insisted that Mia deserves a chance at happiness, it felt like a tall tale. You have to go. He's different, she pressed. Little did Mia know just how different. As Mia stepped into the upscale restaurant, it hit her: the gleaming chandeliers, the elegant decor, the deep whispers of laughter that surrounded her like a wall. Her simple jeans and old sneakers seemed to scream against the backdrop of designer dresses and polished shoes. She wiped her clammy palms on her blouse and took a deep breath, telling herself it was just a dinner. But as she spotted Jack, tall, confident, with an easy smile, she felt the universe shift. Jack wasn't what she expected. Behind the privilege was sincerity, a boy looking for connection in a bustling world detached from real feelings. They talked, and with every word, Mia unburdened her soul stories of her long hours at the diner, helping her mom through sleepless nights. Jack listened, eyes full of understanding. It felt refreshing, like breathing in crisp autumn air after a monotonous summer. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but then their conversation transformed when they joined Jack's friends. The air changed. Snickering remarks about Mia's humble beginnings shot through the air like arrows. Each word pierced deeper than the last, igniting flames of insecurity. Mia felt small, suffocated by disparity. Those glitzy surroundings, once mesmerizing, now felt like a gilded cage trapping her potential. Jack watched, confusion and anger brewing inside him. How could they mock her? Did his friends really believe that social standing determined worth? The heaviness of the moment pressed upon him. He had always been caught up in the whirl of status, but now, with Mia standing on the edge, he began to question the life he'd known, and there it was, that pivotal moment where a decision hung in the balance. You deserve better, he murmured, searching her eyes. Let me help you get a scholarship for school. Excitement welled within Mia, mixing with doubt. Could they really challenge the expectations of their families? The night grew thick with tension, their worlds colliding with every shared struggle. As Jack leaned closer, a wall crumbled between them, a bridge formed. Could love and respect conquer the divide? In that moment, in the flickering candlelight, anything felt possible. But just when it seemed like they'd punched through the barrier, a phone call shattered the moment, threatening to unravel everything. What secrets lay hidden on the other end? Would it pull them apart, leaving Mia and Jack hanging in the balance? The story was just beginning. Mia's stomach churned as Jack pulled his phone from his pocket. The gaze he had locked with hers flickered, a small crack appearing in their moment of connection. I'm sorry, he murmured, stepping back to answer. The cheerful chatter of the restaurant faded into background noise, leaving Mia in a disorienting bubble of silence. She felt the sting of vulnerability wash over her. What if Jack's world, with all its charm, swallowed her whole? What if this was just a fleeting moment for him? Her mind flooded with insecurities, doubts gnawing at the edges of her courage. Jack's expression shifted as he spoke, tension twisting his brow. She strained to catch fragments of his conversation. The mention of "Dad" made her heart flutter and drop, knowing that the CEO world Jack came from was as foreign to her as another galaxy. Moments passed like hours as his smile faded. Mia rubbed her hands together, fighting the chill of uncertainty creeping into her veins. when he finally turned back, his eyes held an intensity she hadn't seen before. "Listen, I need to go. My father is." He paused, the words seeming to get lodged in his throat. "He's in town, and things are complicated." Mia felt a sharp pang of disappointment. "Complicated how?" she asked, though she had a sinking feeling she already knew. The glittering world of privilege was not so forgiving, and she felt like an intruder. Jack ran a hand through his hair, the frustration mingling with a deep-seated sadness. "He's been pressuring me to come back to the family business, and it's messing with my head." He stepped closer. "But I want to see you again, Mia. I need you to understand that." Her heart leapt at his words, but doubt wrestled for control. "But what if this is just a dream? A nice evening that can't last?" The tremor in her voice betrayed the walls she had built to protect herself from disappointment. That he took her hands, and warmth spread through her, lighting up the dark corners of her mind. "What if it's a chance for something real? I know this isn't easy, but it's worth trying." His eyes searched hers, pleading for her to take that leap of faith. Just as Mia contemplated the possibilities, a familiar face cut through the crowd. Sarah, her best friend, waving eagerly but holding an expression that shifted quickly to concern. Mia's heart sank. She felt exposed, like her secret worlds of struggle and aspiration were laid bare. "Jack, can we talk later? I think I need a moment," Mia whispered, gently withdrawing her hands. She could feel the weight of Sarah's presence behind her, a reminder of everything she held dear and the reality of her life. Jack nodded, distress flashing in his eyes, but understanding followed. "I'll be waiting. Don't forget about that scholarship." Mia managed a weak smile as he stepped back, her heart racing at the thought of what lay ahead. She turned to Sarah, pulling her in for a quick hug. "What are you doing here?" she asked, fighting the embarrassment rising in her cheeks. "I was worried, okay? I didn't want to wait, but Mia, are you all right?" Sarah's expression shifted from excitement to concern, reading the turmoil that danced behind Mia's calm facade. "Not now. Can we talk outside?" Mia gestured toward the door, needing space to breathe and collect her thoughts. As they stepped out into the cool night, her mind churned with uncertainty. What happens when the worlds they lived in clashed with the undeniable chemistry that sparked between them? Could she trust Jack when everything seemed so complicated? Do you think he really meant what he said? Mia's voice quivered, laced with a mix of hope and fear. Sarah's gaze softened. "You won't know unless you let yourself find out." But the question hung heavily in the air. What if the past she fought so hard to escape caught up with her when she dared to dream? Just then, her phone buzzed, an unknown number, but somehow, it felt hauntingly familiar. With her heart in her throat, she answered. What shocking twist awaited her on the other end? Mia's pulse raced as she glanced at the unknown number flashing on her screen. Each vibration felt like a warning bell, echoing Jack's earlier words about complexity. Sliding her finger across the screen, she brought the phone to her ear, trying to quell the storm brewing in her chest. "Hello," she said, her voice shaky, almost lost in the cool night air. Mia, the voice on the other end was deep, smooth, but tinted with an edge she couldn't quite place. "It's Theo. We need to talk." Her heart dropped. Theo. Jack's father. The powerful CEO. The man who stood at the helm of the world Jack was trying to escape. Shock froze her in place. "What do you want? Let us keep this brief. Jack has been a little distracted lately, and I think you could help with that." The statement was casual, but the weight of it bore down on her like a lead blanket. "I'd like to meet with you." "Help with what?" she asked, bewildered. This was a conversation she had never imagined herself having. The air around her seemed to thicken, and she could sense Sarah's eyes on her, catching the tension in the lines of Mia's shoulders. "The family situation. Jack is struggling. I can tell he cares about you, but he is not ready to embrace the responsibilities that come with our world," Theo explained, each word slicing through the darkness surrounding Mia's thoughts. A part of her wanted to drop the phone and walk away, back into the comforting familiarity of her old life. But she stood rooted, curiosity pinching at her. "And what do I have to do with that?" she managed to ask, her voice steady despite the chaos inside her. "I believe he needs someone who can bridge his old life and his future," he replied, almost too smoothly. "I'm hoping that's you. Can we meet? Why do you care?" She wasn't ready to be suckered into a game she didn't understand. "Because, Mia, if Jack is going to move forward, he is going to need to confront his past. You're part of that past now. Consider it an opportunity for both of you," he stated, a calm assurance in his tone that made her stomach knot with unease. Thrumming uncertainty coursed through Mia. She glanced at Sarah, whose expression danced between worry and encouragement. The wind whipped past them, carrying with it the electric tension that hung in the air. I need time to think," Mia said, her voice barely above a whisper, but she felt an instinctual pull toward the unknown. "Take your time, but don't take too long," Theo replied, an ominous undertone creeping into his voice before the line clicked dead. "What did he say?" Sarah asked, the moment Mia lowered her phone, her face painted with concern. Mia's heart raced against her ribcage. "He wants to meet. Jack's dad thinks I can help with whatever is going on with Jack." "Why would he even think that?" Sarah's brows knitted together. "This is so complicated, Mia. You know it's not your responsibility to fix things for Jack." Mia nodded but couldn't shake the feeling that maybe it was. Maybe this was the push she needed to uncover what was really happening with Jack, a way into his world that threatened to swallow her whole yet called to her in a way she couldn't deny. "What do I do?" she asked, her voice a mixture of defiance and fear. "Do what feels right. But promise me you'll be careful," Sarah said, squeezing her hand in reassurance. As Mia stood at this crossroads of her life, a single thought echoed in her mind. What if stepping into the darkness led to a light she had always wished for? With her heart pounding and the decision looming over her, she wondered what she would uncover in the face of such formidable challenges. Could she truly handle what lay ahead? And more importantly, would she be prepared for the answers that might change everything for her and Jack? Mia stared blankly at the screen of her phone as the call ended, her mind racing through a whirlwind of thoughts. The uncertainty of the situation weighed heavily on her shoulders like a thick fog that refused to lift. She turned to Sarah, who mirrored her turmoil, eyes wide with concern. "What are you going to do?" Sarah asked. "I don't know." Mia felt a knot of anxiety twist in her stomach. The very thought of meeting Theo sent chills down her spine. What could a man like him possibly want with her? Her world felt precariously perched on the edge of a cliff. "Maybe you should just ignore it," Sarah suggested, trying to ground Mia. "This sounds risky. Jack hasn't he even mentioned his dad to you since?" She trailed off, the sadness hanging in the air like an unwritten book. "Since everything turned upside down," Mia finished for her. It was true. Jack had kept his father's influence at arm's length. But maybe that was the problem. If she could help bridge whatever gap Theo thought existed, perhaps it would bring Jack back to the surface. The idea of losing him completely sparked a fire in her. "Maybe I should meet with him," she muttered, more to herself than as a statement to Sarah. "Just to hear him out. If Jack is struggling, I want to be there for him." "Just be careful," Sarah warned, her brow furrowed with concern. Mia took a deep breath, feeling the night air chill her skin. She didn't like the idea of stepping into a world of wealth and power. But the image of Jack, lost and burdened by his family name, pushed her forward. Maybe this was her chance to make a difference. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold, Mia knew she had to make a decision fast. She pulled up Theo's number again, the dots connecting in her mind. She already felt inextricably entwined with Jack's world, so perhaps it was time to step up. "What do you think he wants?" Mia asked, breaking into Sarah's silence. "I don't know, but it can't simply be good news." "He wants something," Sarah replied, her voice tinged with caution. Just remember who you are and don't let him pull you into that life without a fight. Mia nodded, heart pounding but determination growing. They spent the next hour in a haze, discussing every possible outcome, every question Mia wanted to ask. The conversation rolled on until Mia finally smirked at Sarah. "I'm going to need new clothes if I'm meeting a CEO," she quipped, trying to lighten the mood. Sarah laughed but quickly sobered. "You're really going to do this?" "I think I have to." Mia felt resolute. The next morning, after a restless sleep filled with dreams of Jack and his father, Mia prepared for the meeting. She dressed in the best outfit she had, something classy yet comfortable, a reminder of her individuality. As she made her way to the agreed venue, a sleek, modern cafe that flair boasted sharp lines and polished glass, Mia felt the stir of nerves whip through her. This place was different, buzzing with the sounds of deal-making and lifestyle conversations that her life had never touched. She entered, scanning the room for Theo. The instant their eyes met, she felt a jolt. He was everything she had imagined and more. Powerful, sharp, and somehow both intimidating yet enticing. The air shifted as she walked toward him. "Mia," he greeted with that same smooth voice, extending a hand that was all business. "Theo," she replied, a tremor creeping into her tone. But before they could settle, a looming question hung like a tightrope between them. "Why am I here?" And just like that, she realized this meeting wasn't just for Jack. It was also about Mia. Would she uncover truths about herself too? The stakes of her decision were rising higher than she expected. The moment felt electric, crackling with the potential to change everything. What revelations awaited her now? Mia shifted her weight from one foot to the other, feeling the sleek floors beneath her shoes. The bright lights glinted off the surfaces, and she could hear the hum of conversations, laughter, and the clink of glasses all around her. It was a world that felt simultaneously welcoming and alien. Just standing there, she felt an echo of uncertainty reverberate through her. "Let us sit," Theo suggested, gesturing toward a table in the corner, away from the chaos. As they walked, Mia's heart raced. She remembered Sarah's warning, "Don't let him pull you into that life." Yet here she was, driven by a sense of purpose, but the fear nipped at her heels. Once seated, Theo looked at her directly, his gaze steady and unwavering. "I appreciate you meeting with me," he said, his voice low and measured. "I know this isn't easy." "Easy isn't really part of my life right now," Mia replied, attempting a flicker of defiance. She was proud of her honesty, even if it felt risky. He nodded, as if that truth resonated with him. "You care for my son, Jack. I'd like to understand how I can help him and you." There was a softness in his tone, a subtle shift from the executive to a concerned father. Mia took a deep breath, processing his words. "You honestly don't know how much he is struggling?" The question slipped out sharper than she intended. It felt vital to establish where Theo stood, especially if their conversation was meant to bridge any gaps. Theo's expression darkened for a moment. "I've been distant, consumed with other obligations. Jack has been acting differently, and it worries me." Mia felt a flicker of anger rise. That's a bit of an understatement. He needs you now, more than ever. Not just as a name on a company letterhead. She was veering into dangerous territory, bordering on accusatory, but the words felt necessary. Theo's eyes flashed, surprise mingling with something else, perhaps respect. "You're right. I've been inattentive. And now, he's made decisions that have led to this void." "Void? I think it's more like a chasm," she countered, unable to contain her feelings. She had to stand up, not just for Jack but for herself. "He feels lost, Theo. Like he doesn't belong." "Then help me understand him better," he replied, his voice firm now. "What does he need from me? What can I do to support him?" The vulnerability in his request was palpable. Was this the same hardened businessman the world saw? The man she thought was all about power and control? It was disarming. Mia hesitated, caught between urging Theo to take accountability and nurturing the part of her that wanted to shine light on Jack's potential. He needs you to show that you're in this together. Not just as father and son, but as two people trying to navigate a tough family legacy. Otherwise, he's just going to sink deeper into despair. A moment of silence fell between them, thick with unspoken understanding. Theo leaned back in his chair, seemingly deep in thought. Mia knew she had struck a chord. As the minutes ticked by, an unexpected thought crossed her mind: she could actually help this family, beyond just Jack. Maybe they could create a different ending than she had feared. Maybe strength came from vulnerability, and from stepping into discomfort. What if we worked together? Mia found herself saying. You, me, and Jack. We could figure this out. Theo's brow furrowed, a mix of surprise and curiosity. You'd be willing to help with my family's struggles? Why? Because I believe I can make a difference, she said, barely believing her own words but feeling the depth of truth beneath them. And also, because I don't want to lose Jack. His battles matter to me. Theo's expression softened, and for a moment, they shared a connection that transcended their differences. Hope glimmered in the air between them, but it was fragile, hanging by the thinnest thread. Then let's explore this together, Mia, he agreed. Just as she felt a flicker of warmth at Theo's words, her phone buzzed on the table, cutting through the tension. It was a message from Jack. What now? She thought, heart-thumping wild. Mia's face turned pale as she read the text. I need to talk. Meet me at the park. The unease shot back into her chest like cold steel. What did Jack want? And was it really just a talk? In one moment, everything she hoped for felt like it was hanging by a thread. Determination swelled inside Mia, and she turned back to Theo, who was watching her intently. Looks like I have to run, she said, bolting upright. Jack needs me. As she rushed away from the table, she could feel Theo's gaze follow her. More than ever, Mia was aware that this was just the beginning. Would she have the strength to bridge the gaps with Theo, all while trying to reach Jack? And the most daunting question loomed: was she ready to face whatever truth lay waiting for her in the park? Mia dashed out of the bustling restaurant, her breath catching in her throat as she navigated through the throngs of people spilling onto the sidewalk. Each step felt heavier than the last, fueled by a mix of anxiety and anticipation. A knot tightened in her stomach, twisting at the thought of what Jack wanted to discuss. Was he in trouble? Was he ready to open up, or was this just going to add more weight to the load he was already carrying? As she approached the park, the bright neon signs of the city faded into the background. Instead, the soft rustle of leaves and the distant laughter of children playing filled the air. It was a stark contrast to the chaos she'd just left behind. She spotted Jack sitting on a weathered bench beneath a sprawling oak tree, his frame hunched forward, as if he were a bundle of worry wrapped in a hoodie. Jack! Mia called out, quickening her pace. His eyes flicked up, a storm of emotions swirling behind their depths. Mia, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. He straightened, but his gaze fell back to the ground, avoiding hers like it was a minefield. What is going on? You said you needed to talk. Her heart raced. She could sense that whatever this was, it was serious. I don't know how to start, he began, his voice cracking. I feel like everything is falling apart. He finally looked at her, and the vulnerability in his eyes sent a pang through her heart. Just tell me, she urged gently, stepping closer. I'm here for you. He took a deep breath, and the silence stretched between them like a taut wire. I've been thinking about leaving to just disappear for a while. I don't want to deal with my life or the expectations that everyone has of me. Mia's stomach dropped. Leave? Jack, you can't be serious. It's not like anyone would notice, especially my dad. His expression soured. He's too busy with his real life to worry about what's happening with me. Jack, that's not true. She countered, a spark of frustration flaring within her. Theo cares, I know he does. He just doesn't know how to show it, Jack finished, bitterness coating his words. I'm tired of being the afterthought. Mia felt the weight of his words settle in her chest. She could feel the bond between father and son fraying, and it hurt her to witness. What if we try to change that? Jack looked skeptical, his brow furrowing. How? It feels hopeless. She took a step back, trying to compose her thoughts. By talking to him. Together. You deserve to voice your feelings, to have your needs met. And you're not in this alone. I'm with you. He shifted, glancing away. Why do you care so much? We're not blood related or anything. Maybe not, she said, her voice steadier than she felt. But that doesn't make the connection we have any less important. You matter to me, Jack. You always will. I know how it feels to be lost and want to be seen. I want to let you give up. Tears glistened at the corners of his eyes. What if I can't do it? What if it just makes it worse? Then we'll face it together. Take that leap, Jack. You deserve better than to carry this alone, she urged, courage growing with every pulse of her heart. Jack nodded slowly, uncertainty still painted across his features, but there was a flicker of hope in his eyes that hadn't been there before. As they stood together, a hint of determination flickered between them, a fragile, yet powerful bond forming in the face of their fears. For the first time that day, the possibility of change felt tangible. Just then, Mia's phone buzzed again. She reached for it, glancing at the screen. A message from Theo, urgent yet simple, I need to talk to you. Now. An unsettling feeling crept into her chest. What was he going to say? Was he finally ready to step up for Jack? Or was it something more? The answers were all too close, yet forever out of reach. Could they hold on to hope with such uncertainty looming ahead? Mia's heart raced as she stared at the message, the words blurring momentarily before her eyes. She glanced at Jack, who was still lost in thought, the weight of his struggles palpable. She wanted to comfort him, but the urgency from Theo's text throbbed at the back of her mind. Jack, she began, her voice soft, I think I need to take this. A part of her felt guilty, leaving him in a moment where he had just started to open up. Yet, the other part urged her to find out what was so important. She stepped aside, attempting to block the world out, focusing on the bright screen in front of her. Just make sure you're okay, Jack replied, almost absently, his eyes searching the ground again. The pain in his voice didn't go unnoticed. Mia took a deep breath and tapped on Theo's message. Hey, what is going on? She typed back quickly, her fingers shaking slightly. Theo replied almost immediately, meet me at Flannery's. It's urgent. Her heart sank. Flannery's was the pub where they often met after his shifts, a place where life felt simpler, where laughter was loud and worries seemed far away. But tonight, it felt like a stage for something more serious. Okay, she texted back, swallowing the lump in her throat. With a heavy heart, she walked back to Jack, trying to keep her mind focused. I have to go meet Theo, she said quietly. What for? Jack asked, a wary edge creeping into his tone. I don't know. He sounded tense. I'll text you later, okay? Mia felt a tightness in her chest. She didn't want to leave him in this fragile state, knowing that their breakthrough was so close. Fine, Jack mumbled, though his expression betrayed more hurt than anger. Hey, she said, kneeling beside him. You're not alone in this. Remember that. You're stronger than you think. He nodded, but the flicker of doubt didn't leave his eyes. Mia fought against the guilt as she hurried away, the park path paving a way for her to Flannery's. Each step felt more like a weight pressing against her. She dreaded what Theo might reveal. What if it was bad news about Jack? The pub's neon sign flickered in the distance, drawing her in like an anchor. When she entered, the familiar buzz of laughter and clinking glasses greeted her, yet it felt distant. She spotted Theo at a corner table, leaning forward, his expression serious. "Hey," she said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Mia," he replied, his face grave. "I didn't know how to say this. It's about Jack." Her pulse quickened. "What about him?" "There's something happening with his dad, something that might have serious consequences," Theo continued, his voice low and urgent, barely cutting through the din of voices around them. "I think he needs to know before it's too late." Her heart felt like it was about to break. What could possibly be happening that would put Jack's life in turmoil yet again? "What do you mean?" Before Theo could respond, a shout erupted from the bar, and Mia's pulse raced with the urgency of the moment. The crowd's laughter turned to gasps, and she turned to see what had happened. A familiar figure emerged from the crowd, eyes wide, slamming a glass on the table in front of Theo. "Jack is my son," the man declared, his voice booming, unmistakably Theo's father. The air thickened, electrified by the sudden revelation. Mia's heart raced as shock gripped her. The weight of reality crashed down. Jack's hidden truth had just exploded into view. What would this revelation mean for Jack? Would it change everything he feared? Mia's heart pounded, caught in a whirlwind of emotions, each pulse echoing uncertainty. The moment of truth loomed ahead, but she could only wonder how it would unfold for them all. Mia's thoughts spun like a whirlwind, clouded by the revelation that shattered everything she thought she knew. The noise of the pub faded into a dull roar as she processed the man's declaration. Jack's father was right in front of her, an unexpected storm crashing through their fragile world. "Are you serious?" she whispered, barely able to grasp the reality of the situation. Her mind raced back to Jack's stories about his father, the way he carefully walked around the topic, the anger tinged with sadness that always colored his voice. It felt surreal now, the pieces of the puzzle shifting into disarray. Theo sat frozen, his expression a mix of shock and apprehension. "We have to get Jack," he finally said, urgency slicing through the air between them. "No, wait," Mia replied, fear gripping her heart. "What if he's not ready? This could break him." But as she looked back at Jack's father, a man she had never seen before, she realized her hesitation might be the wrong move. Jack deserved the truth, didn't he? He had been living under the shadow of a mystery that had caused him so much pain. It doesn't matter if he's ready or not. He needs to hear this, Theo insisted, his determination igniting her own sense of purpose. With one nod, Mia steeled herself. "Okay, let us do it." They turned towards the door, the vibrant atmosphere of Flannery's transforming into a dimly lit tunnel leading them back to Jack. Mia's heart pounded heavily in her chest, drowning out the noise. She rushed through the crowd, her nerves electric, struggling to find the right words to prepare Jack. Outside, the night air was cool against her flushed skin. They hurried back through the park, a faint reminder of the tender moment she had just shared with Jack. The image of his vulnerable face flashed before her, a mix of strength and uncertainty that made her stomach twist. When they reached the spot where they had left him, Mia felt a rush of hope, but uncertainty still tugged at her heart. But Jack was gone. The empty bench sat silently under the streetlight, casting shadows that elongated into nothingness. Where did he go? Mia gasped, panic sinking in. Theo glanced around, his expression shifting from urgency to concern. "We should call him." As they pulled out their phones, Mia felt a deep sense of dread wash over her. What if Jack had left because he couldn't bear the weight of everything swirling around him? What if this revelation was too much? They dialed, anxiously waiting for him to pick up. Voicemail, try again. Nothing. A tightness gripped her throat. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. "I'll text him," she said, her fingers trembling against the screen. Just as she hit send, a figure rounded the corner, his face shadowed, hands shoved deep in his pockets. It was Jack, moving slowly, so much heavier than before. Mia's heart sank at the sight of him. The tension in the air thickened as he took in their worried faces. "Where were you?" she asked, her voice breaking slightly. Jack looked at them, a storm brewing in his eyes. "I need to talk to you both," he said, his voice steady but strained. Before they could respond, he continued, "I heard someone say I'm not who I thought I was. What the hell is going on?" Mia's breath hitched. The truth was now catching them all in a web of unease, and there was no escaping it. Would this night unravel the ties that bound them or weave a new fabric of connection? She didn't know, but the layers of emotion surrounding them felt palpable and heavy, with the weight of the truth pressing down. As they took a step closer, the air grew thick with promise and uncertainty, the room spinning with unanswered questions. Mia realized that this was just the beginning, and every heartbeat echoed the fear, hope, and need for resolution. What would Jack's reaction be when they finally faced the truth together? Would it break him or set him free? Jack shifted his weight from one foot to the other, his expression becoming more guarded with each passing second. "I want to know what is going on," he pressed, his voice tightening. Mia exchanged a quick glance with Theo, and in that moment, she felt the weight of their shared uncertainty. The air was electric, sparking with the tension weaving through their trio. She nodded slightly, signaling Theo to step back. This was something she needed to face alone, something Jack needed to hear from her. "Jack," Mia began, her voice shaking slightly. We ran into your father tonight. The man who stepped away from your life." His eyes flickered with a mixture of confusion and disbelief. "My father?" The word felt foreign on his tongue, each syllable a reminder of the absence he had long accepted. "Yes, I know it's a shock," she continued, her heart racing. "But it turns out he has been watching from a distance. He thought you deserved a better life, one without him." Jack's brow furrowed. "So, what? He just decided to pretend I didn't exist. After all this time?" Mia felt the weight of his words, the hurt tumbling out like jagged rocks. "It's more complicated than that. He has his reasons, pain from his past, regrets. But the truth is, he loves you. Telling me he loves me after all this time. It doesn't change anything." Jack's voice escalated, echoing in the quiet night. "I've been okay without him. I don't need him now." "Jack, wait," Mia said, desperation creeping into her words. "You do deserve to hear him out. You need to understand why he made those choices. It's part of who you are. Who I am." Jack's voice trembled, uncertainty flickering like a candle in a sudden gust of wind. "What does that even matter? I'm just supposed to accept that a stranger has an explanation for my whole life." "Maybe it's more than that," she insisted softly. "Maybe it's healing. For both of you. For you." He stared at her, pain and fury intermingling in his expression. "Healing? How is that supposed to happen? What if I don't want to hear him out?" His voice dropped, revealing a crack of vulnerability beneath his anger. "What if it's too late for me?" The air thickened, a heavy silence falling between them like a shroud. Mia could see the torment in Jack's eyes, an echo of years of confusion and ache. She stepped closer, blinking back the tears that threatened to spill. "You're more than the pain you carry, Jack. You are full of love and strength, and this doesn't define you." Jack shook his head, the disbelief evident. "You make it sound so simple, but it's not." She took a breath, grounding herself. "Maybe it doesn't have to be simple. Maybe it can just be the truth. If you can find your way to it, you might discover something new about yourself. About what you're made of." The moment hung in the air, heavy with unshed emotions. Jack's walls seemed to tremble, the question of whether to open up warring with the fear of rejection. Suddenly, his phone buzzed in his pocket, pulling him abruptly from the precipice between anger and vulnerability. He fished it out, eyes widening as he read the text. "It's him," Jack whispered, disbelief etching deeper into his features. "My father wants to meet tonight." The world shrank around them, everything else fading in the wake of this new reality. Mia's heart raced as she processed the implications, the fear of the unknown swirling in with the glimmer of hope. Jack, this is your chance, she began, but he cut her off. I don't know if I'm ready. His voice was barely above a whisper, the conflict palpable. Maybe you don't have to be, Mia encouraged, her own heart pounding with his uncertain dilemma. You can just listen. You can find your own way through this. Jack looked at her, caught in the crossfire of emotions. A realization flickered in his gaze, this might be the defining moment of his life. He stood silent for a beat, weighing his options. The night seemed to stretch before them, a fork in the road. Would he take the leap into the unknown? Or retreat back into the familiarity of silence and pain? All eyes were on him, all thoughts waiting with bated breath. Would he choose to face the storm or step back into the shadows? The decision hung heavy, as if the world itself had paused in anticipation. Jack took a shuddering breath, the weight of the moment palpable. The night air vibrated with a mix of vulnerability and hope, uncertainty dancing between them like a flickering candle flame. Mia felt her heart ache for him, wanting desperately for him to find the courage that she knew resided within him. Jack, whatever you decide, I'm here for you, she said softly, stepping closer, her hands resting gently on his arms. You're not alone. You don't have to do this without support. You have me. A storm of emotions surged through Jack's eyes, fear, anger, longing. But there was something else mixed in, a spark of realization that cracked through the layers he de-built. What if he doesn't want me? His voice trembled, raw and unguarded. What if he does? Mia asked, her voice steady. What if this is your chance to understand him? And in that, maybe even understand yourself a little better. Jack's shoulders drooped. I've been okay without him. Why should I care? Because you deserve to know him, Jack. You deserve to know the truth. It might hurt, yes. But it could also set you free. Not just from him, but from all the doubt and pain that have held you captive for so long. He looked down, his fingers nervously rubbing against his palms, reflecting the internal struggle that deepened visibly. Stepping back, Mia gave him space, allowing him to process. You don't have to go into this blindly. You can take your time. You can ask the questions that matter to you. And if it gets too overwhelming, we can step away. Jack met her gaze, and for a moment, the world around them fell silent. The noise of the night faded, and all that remained were their hearts speaking a language built on trust and understanding. He thought of her unwavering support, of the light she brought to his darkness, and how her friendship had ignited a flicker of hope amidst his despair. Okay, he said finally, a steely determination creeping into his voice. I'll meet him. Mia's heart surged with pride. That's it. You're taking the step. They stood there for another moment, the air charged with the electricity of possibility. But I'll need your help, Jack continued, a hint of vulnerability returning. Can you come with me? Of course, she replied, her tone light yet filled with the seriousness of what lay ahead. You don't have to face this alone. As they headed toward the park exit, tension dissolved, replaced by newfound resolve. They both knew the path ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time, it felt navigable. Arriving at the restaurant where Theo had proposed they meet, Jack hesitated just outside the entrance. What if I don't say the right things? All you need to do is be honest. Speak from your heart, Mia said encouragingly. With a deep breath, Jack stepped forward, Mia at his side. Inside, they approached Theo, who stood, expectant yet anxious. There you are, he said, glancing from Jack to Mia. Are you ready for this? Jack looked toward Mia, who smiled reassuringly, nodding. Yeah, he replied, the words steadying him. They sat at the table, and Jack felt a rush of emotions flood through him, the nervous anticipation, the unease, but also something exhilarating. This was his moment to reclaim his voice, to confront the shadows of his past. Dad, he began, striving for courage. I want to understand. I've lived long enough in silence. Why did you leave me? Theo's expression transformed, layers of emotion flashing across his face. Jack, It's complicated. I think I deserve to know what complicated means, Jack interrupted, resolve strengthening his voice. The words hung in the air, charged with intensity. Theo looked to Mia, a silent plea reflecting his vulnerability. She nodded, a promise that they were in this together, and so, the conversation unfolded like the petals of a flower, revealing the raw truths buried beneath layers of hurt, a tale of fear, regrets, choices made in the shadows, and an undeniable love that had never truly faded. With every word exchanged, Jack felt pieces of himself click into place. The weight lifted, replaced by a lightness he hadn't known in years. This was healing, painful, yet liberating. As the night deepened, Jack's heart began to mend, each moment bringing him closer to the son his father had longed to know but had been too scared to reach out to. When they finally emerged from the restaurant, the dawn was breaking, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, symbolizing new beginnings, new truths. Mia grasped Jack's hand, her smile broad and radiant. "You did it, Jack. You faced the truth." "I couldn't have done it without you," he replied, sincerity warming his words. "I will always be here," she promised, her voice rich with affection. Together, they walked beneath the emerging light, hearts hopeful and connected in a way that showed love could conquer even the deepest of divides. Healing shared, futures brighter. Their story was just beginning, entwined in the vibrant tapestry of hope and promise. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support matters. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voice counts. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans understand the value of standing together in this journey.